Morning, guys. Hope you had a restful spring break. This is the first time I turned my computer on in 11 days since I don't teach on Thursdays and Fridays. It's a mental and physical break. The only downside is I left uh, around noon on Saturday. It was 85 degrees where I was. By the time I came back here 3 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, it was 22 degrees. And there was a few flurries. I was down in South Florida. Uh, Sally is excused today. Kayla, let me see if I get an email from Kayla. Kayla, no. Mason here. Zachary, no. Riley, Jalen here. Val here. Katie, Dakota, Dakota Hill, Dawson here. Olivia, Nate's here. Mary's here. Mandy, Sharon here. Austin's here. All right. A lot of things happened while we were away. Come on. By the way, after the class, those of you who are my advisees and want to be advised, you can come over and we can take care of it. Uh, all right, what happened last week? In fact, it happened on the last day of classes before spring break. Anybody following the news? You're all finance majors, right? Who are actually in the banking program? Just two? Okay, you guys tell me what happened. Yeah, Silicon Valley Bank went down. Went down with over 200 billion in assets. Actually, this event convinced me that I should actually put a course together on uh, fixed income risk management in banks. There were two reasons why I didn't do it until now. I mean, I did that for a living myself when I was in the industry. One was, faculty issues, and two, it's a rather technical class. But I should find a way to do it in a relatively non-technical way. Maybe doing a lot of technical issues ahead of time. Just use calculators and but get with them. I mean, we covered some of them. Okay, who actually followed the collapse of this bank? I know it was your spring break. Come on, guys, you're finance majors. Who actually followed the news about the collapse of this bank? Okay, what did you think? There's no right or wrong answer. I just want to know what your opinion is. What did you think? The bonds were their liquidity. I mean, they were very liquid assets. They had to. There's a problem with this sort of collapse. If it was a bank that had only $10 billion in assets, you just let those people die. The people who are above 250,000 threshold, but typically they don't have clients like that. It was kind of a perfect storm for Silicon Valley Bank. Uh, Last semester, I helped around with a project regarding Silicon Valley Bank. At the time, I mean, some of you who may have taken my classes may have heard it. I was doing a consulting gig. It was through Accenture. The project was basically writing a report about stress scenarios for Silicon Valley Bank. Basically, if something bad happened, what could happen to assets and liabilities of Silicon Valley Bank? My, some of the I wasn't allowed to see their asset mix, especially. I mean, I've seen the loans and stuff, but we weren't shown what the liquid assets were, and we weren't told. I knew by sector their deposits, and a big portion of their deposits were in the tech sector. These guys grew from 2005 with less than $1 billion in assets to over 200 until now. They grew very fast. They made a lot of money. Most of their loans went to funding venture capital firms or startup firms. Or and a lot of those firms kept their deposits in Silicon Valley Bank. They basically went ahead and shut them in the bank. As you know, interest rates have been rising, right? Let's look at the just 3 months interest rates. NBC. I'm sorry, CNBC. Let's see. I'm just going to show you a graph of the 3 month rates. This is the rates on 3 month US Treasuries. Come on. This is just 1 year. In 1 year, we went from basically less than 0.5% to, this was before the collapse of SVB, over 5%. The only reason it went down below 5 is the collapse of SVB, oddly enough. There are two major reasons for it. One, in situations like these in financial markets, there's a phenomenon called flight to quality. People dump their risky assets and buy either treasury bills or treasury bonds. And two, market also got convinced, and we're going to talk about that today. I mean, today I'm going to talk about just this because it is a teachable moment, and I don't want to not teach about it, even though technically speaking, it's not the subject of this class. It has a lot of lessons in terms of management of risk and measurement of risk as well. Tech firms had issues with finding funding, okay? And that meant they wanted to keep a lot of cash in hand, so they basically took their money out of Silicon Valley Bank, and they pretty much did it all at the same time. The total amount withdrawn was over $20 billion. And in order to meet those withdrawals, SVB had to sell their liquid assets. I mean, you can't sell your loans, but you can sell your liquid assets. And these guys had a pretty good capital ratio. They were over 10%. You have to be over 8 anyway by law. That means your invested capital plus so-called subordinated loans. These are the loans that would get the last priority just before the shareholders if something bad happened. It's called Tier 3 capital. You'll find out about these more if you take or you should find out about these more if you take FIN 304, the financial institutions. I mean, if I was teaching that class, I probably would have spent at least 2 weeks on that. But I'm not teaching it, and the last 5 years I find peace in 4 words, and let's make it not French, not my friggin' problem. Because you end up making these your problem. You tell people about it, they don't do anything about it until it's too late. I mean, I kind of nicknamed myself Cassandra. Look it up. Cassandra syndrome. If you took the classics, you know what I mean. It's basically the syndrome. Cassandra was sister of Paris in the story of Troy, and Cassandra was doomed by, I think, Athena, if I'm not mistaken. I could be. Look that up. She was doomed that she would know everything that's going to happen, but nobody will believe her. Okay, that's the Cassandra syndrome. So I keep not doing anything about it, but I'm going to end up maybe this summer prepare a class and teach fixed income risk management. Things like anywhere from Fed funds futures to Eurodollar futures, T-bond futures, long-term swaps, swaptions, options on the swaps themselves. There are a lot of different ways you could manage that risk and measurement of fixed income risk. And in order to do those, they actually sold their T-bonds, okay? And unfortunately, these were very long-term T-bonds. They realized a loss over $1.8 billion for the sale of these. $1.8 billion is a lot of money. And there was no, and they tried to raise $2 billion capital from the market. That didn't materialize. That meant the run on the bank was going to continue. That's why Friday afternoon, just before spring break, Fed came in and took them in. Okay? So what happened? I mean, what were the mistakes? It's still too early for a complete postmortem, but we can kind of do